Hey, according to the internet, there's 170 million books in the world. And something like 2.2 million are written and produced and published every year. So the world probably doesn't need another book, but I wrote one. And so I want to read the introduction to Thinking for Success, just to share why I wrote another book. So I didn't write this book because I thought the world needed another book, or because I wanted to make money, or even because of my own vanity. The book came out of desperation. As a leader of small business and a pastor, I saw people making mistakes. Often they made the same type of mistakes over and over. They would get stuck on problems and not look for solutions. They would spend way too much time inefficiently trying to get things done. Their relationships would be strained, they'd be anxious around certain people, or they would have unresolved conflicts. After watching these patterns for years, I finally found a solution. Stories that change how we think. I began to gather stories from history and from literature and from my own life experiences. I would tell a story in a meeting. We'd talk about it together and then distill a takeaway. Why? Stories are far more memorable than a list of rules or principles. After hearing the story, my team and I could simply refer to its title when we needed a reminder of the story's conclusion. For example, Model 3 in the book is called the Mobile. And this model addresses how we feel unsettled when things change, but it explains that when we lean into a change, it will affect us less than if we resist it. So when our business made an acquisition and we noticed people feeling anxious, in a short sentence, we could recall the Mobile story by saying, hey, it sounds like your Mobile is pretty bouncy right now. Remember to lean in. The story helped people stop fixating on the problems and focus on solution instead. Stories change how we think so we have better behavior, which leads to better results. Over time, I started to write the stories down so I wouldn't forget them. And at some point, I realized there were about 40 stories written down. And then I thought if I had 52, the collection would supply a year's worth of weekly staff meetings. So I continued to write them down and now have about 70. Thinking for Success, my first published book, is the best 52 stories in my collection. The world certainly doesn't need another book, but we sure need better thinking. Here's to your success.